Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
We are back for another week of college football. This is week four. Week four is now in the books. It's moving along nicely here. We're getting closer to the more meat of the schedule. And so we're going to be diving in a couple matchups. We're going to review some of the key games from yesterday or this weekend, Friday, Saturday, Thursday through Saturday. And then we also preview the Georgia Alabama game. Because that's a big one for next week, and I believe both teams were off on a bye week. So we'll dive into those things here in just a second. All right, welcome to Triple Option. I'm your host, Mr. 411, in the studio. Coy and Co from the Low. All right, this track is brought to you by Music by J Tones. Terrence Jones, music by jtones at gmail.com. If you need a track, anything like that, he's your guy. Check him out. Music by J Tones with a hot track. As I mentioned earlier, Cole from the Low is in the studio. Make sure you check out Cole on all social media platforms. And there it is right there. You type in Cole from the Low. Check him out everywhere. All right. And we also have a simulcast on Surge TV. So we like to give a shout out to Surge TV for simulcasting for One Sports World Network. Make sure you follow me on TikTok, Mr. 411 on TikTok. Same thing on Instagram, Mr. 411. And those are the QR codes as well if you have one of those iPhones.
And we also have our host, Mr. 401 in the building, our illustrious host that he brings us this show every weekend, Mr. Triple Option. So thank you to our host, Mr. 411, for having us on.
Hey, appreciate that, Cole. All right. So man, it was an exciting week of college football for me. I like some of the matchups and things like that. But gentlemen, let's start off first with the Michigan USC matchup. All right, Michigan pulls off the home victory. They didn't throw for a lot of yards, gentlemen. So Cole, I know you was high on Michigan for a minute here. What are your thoughts on this one? And then we'll pass over to Coy.
Give me 1 second to pull my stats up. I didn't know we were starting off with
Oh,
that game. I'm sorry. Give me 1 second.
okay. We good?
All right, Michigan USC. 27. Uh, like you said, was not a whole lot of passing that game. Alex Orgy, 32 yards, 7 for 12. Um, yeah, like you said, I was very high on Michigan. I do believe that yes, they lost a lot of talent, and do I think it was as good as it was last year? No, but I do think it should have started in the top five just because you're the national championship. You're a national championship, and you put me at 9 until I prove otherwise, which they're doing now. I should not be dropped. But Michigan did pull up an impressive win, taking on the number 11 USC, and USC dropping that game. And Miller Moss 283, 3 touchdown, 1 interception. Woody Marks, 100 yards. Zachariah Branch, 68, 98 yards, six receptions. You got to beat the team. You put up stats like that, you have to beat the team. You let a quarterback throw for 32 yards and you pull off the loss. That's not acceptable. USC is a great team. They just have a little things to figure out and get stuff rolling. The defense is one thing. Once that defense can stop high level talent offenses, then you can proceed to win games. But until that defense win step up to how the offense is playing, then you can win more talented games. But it's a great win for Michigan.
All right, Corey, number 18 with the victory. Michigan, what was your take from this matchup?
296 yards rushing. There you go. I don't have to throw for. I can throw for 32 yards when I can rush for 294 yards.
So
Same
in the
thing. Same
trenches,
same same issue. Lincoln Riley had when he was at Oklahoma. Can't play defense.
and there it is. Again, you have so they had the outside talent, but those trenches controlling that line of scrimmage, and it looks like Michigan just basically just bullied their way into a victory there. So good bounce back there from Michigan. After getting handled before that, but yeah, so big win there for the Wolverines, and as you stated there, USC they had some things to clean up statistically, offensively. It looks like they did what they're supposed to do. But again, if you can't handle those trenches, I guess it comes back to bite you. And Michigan there saves face there. Do you guys think that Michigan is the biggest threat to Ohio State for this conference?
Might be the
Mm,
highest threat, but was that question for Cliff?
go
Yeah, it's
ahead.
for either one.
Might be the highest threat, but are they a big threat? No. I mean, you can't take no opponent. You can't downplay an opponent, underestimate them, because when that definitely come in and surprise you when you get the win. But are they a big threat to as it was last year, the previous years? No. Now, since that would be a rivalry game, and we know how that rivalry goes, they will always come in and play. And Ohio State won't necessarily play down to their talent because how the rivalry and how it goes. Everybody competes in that game. But are they like a major threat to just upset Ohio State? No.
And we'll say
Mm,
you, Coy.
looking at the teams in that conference this year, they're probably the biggest threat to Ohio State. Just off of if you're gonna say any other team can win, that's like saying if they played 10 games, I pick Michigan 2 out of 10. So
Yeah, that sounds about right. 2 out of 10.
Yeah. Okay. Well, the
And
Michigan
Wolverines.
has no quarterback right now. That's the biggest thing.
and them two is lucky or tied or they get the jump start because the quarterback for Michigan you have to run and I don't believe that running game will go as far when you play a team like Ohio State.
All right. So there you have it. I appreciate that, gentlemen. Let's drop down to the SEC. Another big matchup, and this is actually the first SEC game for the Oklahoma Sooners in the conference. So we'll go there. Uh, Tennessee with an impressive win. Um, I was more impressed with their defense. Corey, what say you? Do you agree with that?
Um, yeah, I would say that because I mean, I kind of expected it to be a more of a high scoring game, but the defense, Tennessee defense, showed up a lot more than I thought they had on defense, which pushed me into they may actually be one of the top 4 elite teams in the conference, 4 or 5 elite teams in the conference. So we're gonna find out though.
Are you referring to Tennessee when you said that?
Yes, not Oklahoma.
Yeah. So Tennessee, man. Cole, what did you gather from this game, man?
um I agree with you, Mr. Moore. I was more impressed with their defense. Offensive wise, they have the talent. You can see the stats right here. Brew McCoy 92 yards, Dylan Sampson 92-yard rush with a touchdown. Nico, his stats are starting to drop a little bit, but his competition is getting better, and he's pulling up the wins. He's not
Mm-hmm.
producing low level stats. He's still going over that 150 range, close to that 200 range. So I'm not mad at it at all, because as long as you're still producing that win, you scoring, you putting points on the board, you can't really hate on the quarterback doing his job. So Heisman wise, is dropped, but as a quarterback, talent wise, he's doing his job. He's doing what he's supposed to. So shout out to Nico. But yes, I was more impressed their defense. How they was responding to the run game, how they responding to the pass, and I will agree. I do think Tennessee is a top 5 team in the SEC. Going with Bama, Georgia, Ole Miss being up there, I do think Tennessee will fall somewhere in that range of top 5. So that's not a crazy statement. But yeah, the defense was very impressive that game. The different stunts, the different gaps. The DC was showing some stuff that I'm still one day when I start coaching again.
There you go. Well, what did you pick up from him?
I like how he did one where he stunted the D line to the right. He brought his right D tackle to the A gap and shot the other one all the way to the other side and hit his linebacker on the outside. That was a scheme. Like you plugging up all gaps so quick. You're gonna need a quick defense for that. But the way you plugging up all the gaps so quickly and you can't go outside because you got a linebacker stoning on the outside too. That was beautiful.
Very good, very good. Yeah. So yeah, Tennessee. I mean, they're looking good.
Tennessee
Oh, go ahead,
Bowls.
Corey.
That's Coleman.
Oh, oh, okay. Hold on, I can't hear you. Well, go ahead.
Oh, I'm done.
Okay, go ahead, Corey.
I didn't say anything else.
Oh, I thought you was about to say something else behind Cole about the scheme there. But yeah, Cole, Tennessee gentlemen, they looking legit. As you all mentioned, we'll see as the SEC schedule starts to, get a little tougher. Um, on a more consistent basis here. A lot of teams had some games earlier, but this was a good, test, kind of test game for Tennessee to kind of see where they are. Oklahoma's kind of like I would think they're kind of like a good gateway team to kind of gauge yourself as far as this conference goes. And Tennessee is kind of showing me that they're going to be a threat. If Kentucky played Georgia the way they did, I think Tennessee can, we can put them a lot right in the mix with these teams. And like I say, later on, we're going to preview Georgia and Alabama um, on that. But let's talk about another SEC team. Make sure y'all can still hear me. But let's talk about another SEC team here. Um, hey, Vanderbilt, who lost to Georgia State, ended up having they were close here on this one. Missouri, they found a way to win. So Georgia had to find a way to win against Kentucky, and now Missouri had to find a way to win against Vanderbilt. And this is another team right in that same kind of area as Tennessee. Do you guys feel any better about Missouri, or does this victory kind of hurt them?
The bit Cal, you can go first.
First of all, Missouri's not as good as Tennessee, and Missouri is not in the same category as Tennessee. Don't say that. Now,
Well, ranked six and
I
seven.
I don't, huh?
They ranked six
I
and seven.
I don't think Missouri's a top 10 team, and we're gonna find out. But anyway, I don't think Missouri's a top 10 team, and one of y'all can prove me wrong.
Well, I'd love to hear what Corey has to say. Oh, after you finish.
Okay, but it just shows me Missouri. That game against Vanderbilt just shows me Missouri is what Missouri is. There was no point in that game that Missouri looked polished or dominated. Even with the shit show that Georgia put on last week, Georgia, you can see that Georgia still dominated and controlled the game for us from the defensive point of the game.
Hmm.
Missouri was just all over the place. They were just running and hoping that somebody get to the end first. Anyway, you can go, Kobe. Your turn.
Um, I agree with Calvin. I don't think Missouri is a top 10 team, and that's gonna show when they go deep into the SEC conference. I think Missouri is more of a when they start doing stuff on Instagrams and social media, and they start saying pretenders or contenders.
Yeah.
There go my pretender right there. Missouri show us something. They show us they can go undefeated, they can beat teams, they can blow a team out, they can go close with a team. But when it's time to matter, what teams do they actually beat that matters to get them to their end goal? Vanderbilt was a good showing right here. Let me knock this team out way, show them I'm dominant, show them that I deserve number 7, show them that I deserve to be in Tennessee, Georgia, all that conversation. Now, shout out to Vanderbilt, lost Georgia State, come back and competed against the Missouri team. And that teams like that are dangerous. They lost to a team that some would say they had no business losing to Georgia State. Now you come back and compete with a team Missouri shot them with 9 shows to Missouri. I can't beat Vanderbilt. And I'm ranked number 7. How am I going to look with Georgia and Alabama? It's my time to face them. Now, a statement that Calvin said that Georgia looked polished against Kentucky defensive wise, which I completely won't argue because there was some stuff in there that they don't look polished. In my opinion, watching that game, the best thing Missouri had was special teams. That's probably the most polished it looked. So shout out to the special team coordinator. But defensive, offensive wise, you could tell it was just little stuff they was kicking themselves in the butt. It's little mishaps that you fix in practice, and when it comes to games, that stuff shouldn't happen. But it was happening to Missouri.
And there you have it. All right. So right now, the panel of experts here, they're not buying into Missouri yet, and so the jury's still out on them, and we'll see where it goes as the season carries on. And that's the thing. That's the beauty of this whole thing is that it's all going to reveal itself as the season moves on. Another team in the SEC, we don't need a graphic for it, and that's Ole Miss. They pretty much handled Georgia Southern. So another big victory there for them. They're ranked pretty high here in the league. So I'm just going to go back to that contender and pretender. How do you guys feel about Ole Miss? 52-13 over Georgia Southern. Do you think that they're legit at number 5?
Great
I think
scheduling.
I think they're legit. I think they're in that top conversation SEC. I think they are contenders until they face teams like Georgia and Alabama. They will get showed up, but I think they face any team lower than that, they would dominate. Or they have a close game, come out with the win, depending on who the team is. I think that they contenders until they face a certain team, in which that happens to every team unless you're the top team in the nation.
Great
All right,
scheduling.
Corey.
Great
Great
scheduling.
schedule.
What do we know about Ole Miss? We know is the same thing we knew about them week 1 as we know right now. We think they got it together. We think Lane has finally figured out what to do when Saban leave. But honestly, do we know?
Well, I mean, their first couple opponents. Let's see. I don't know if we had that in front of us, but we do know that a lot of their opponents have a lot left to be desired. You know what I'm saying? Early in the season, let's see, Georgia Southern, Wake Forest, uh, Middle Tennessee. So yeah, it looks like, you know what I mean? Like these are opponents that they should beat. They're playing the smaller teams, pretty much smaller schools, and so we'll see when they have to end up getting into the meat of their schedule. But
Should be. Should be. There's
they
no.
do look
Should be.
good.
Should be. There's no longer a word we should use anymore. This
Mm.
weekend proved that. But
Well,
continue.
yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
And
there's a
again,
game that we're going. There's a game I'm going to mention in a little bit. But go ahead.
okay, good. I'm looking forward to that one. Now, look, you guys was asking about maybe talking about Texas, right? And
Quick question.
Texas,
Quick
go
question.
ahead.
How do we feel about Braden Cook, the quarterback from Missouri? Are we gonna call him a top talent?
I don't. I
I
mean,
call him a late second, third round pick, maybe. And just
Okay,
because,
we all in agreement. Then no conversation about
yeah,
that.
and that's because everybody's trying to find the next Tom Brady. But anyway,
yeah. And you're not gonna find it that way. I mean, that
you're
Nick
gonna
Brady will just show up.
you
He gives me a little bit of Dak Prescott comparison.
what I mean by that is you're gonna draft your whatever your first round pick is, whatever's highest on
Mhm.
your board, and then you're gonna go find this quarterback that you may be able to develop in your with your later picks. A Brady.
Oh yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
absolutely.
That's
Yeah.
that's either you get them early, first, fast, meaning the first 15 picks, or you get them
Hmm.
late second round, third round.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I mean, I still have a lot of questions about it though. You know what I'm saying? Like, and we have to see what he looks like against, stiffer competition, and then
Mm.
we'll really know. Then we'll really know what kind of quarterback we got there. Um, I think I was gonna mention Texas, so we can go there. Texas with another big victory here over Louisiana Monroe. Uh, Again, it's that time of the season where we get some of these matchups, but 51-3. Manning with his first start. Cole, you can start us off with that, and then Coy. So your thoughts on Manning in his first start?
Okay, let's say this. Let's go ahead and end the Heisman conversations. Unless he goes and starts the rest of the season, let's end the Heisman conversations now. I seen on social media they said they want to put Archie Manning or some of the NFL, not NFL, college football experts want to put Archie Manning in the Heisman candidate or Heisman candidate predictions. It's one start, ladies and gentlemen. It's Quinn Ewers' job until proven otherwise. Unless Archie go on a 3-win streak and he go beat a ranked opponent or a high opponent or a rival, it's Quinn Ewers' job. Am I saying that Quinn Ewers is better than Archie Manning right now? Yes, I am saying that. Am I saying that Archie Manning will be better than him or Quinn is better than him overall when Archie Manning grew up into a full starter position? No, I think Archie Manning got the highest ceiling and will be better than Quinn Ewers in the future. But as of right now, Quinn Ewers is more polished as a college quarterback. Now, Archie Manning had a great game, 258, 15 for 29, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He showed as what is he now? A sophomore quarterback? He showed as a sophomore
Red shirt,
quarterback,
so red shirt,
redshirt
freshman.
freshman,
Yeah.
redshirt freshman, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. It showed. The picks, the interceptions, the turnovers, it showed. And he played with a higher team, say as uh, Oklahoma, Georgia, Alabama, Ole Miss, all the teams you talked about previously, that could be very costly. You play a team as ULM, the leading receiver got 23 yards, the leading rusher got 30 yards, the leading passer got 42 yards. It's not really no comparison, no comp right there. But Archie Manning is, I'm not downplaying him. He had a good game and he will be a great quarterback going forward. He's just not a Heisman right now. And as of right now, he's not better than Quinn Ewers.
Ready?
But overall, he got the job done. Yes, Calvin.
I think yours is supposed to be out for 2 more weeks, if I'm not mistaken. Isn't that the plan?
Yeah, he either come back next week or he come back the week after.
Okay. From I'm not too big on saying that he made a lot of mistakes yesterday. The pick was bad, but that's a young quarterback thinking he can out athletic a play. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes sometimes it's okay to just sit down. You know what I'm saying? But um, Heisman, no, not yet. Doesn't have. I mean, he only has really one. He has a couple plays in one half of a game on the books, and then this game. Uh, do I think if I was in the position they were in, it would depend on my. It really would depend on what my relationship with yours if I wouldn't, because I would be honest with you, this kid's gonna be there because he's demanding. He's a Manning for he's probably gonna be there his full term. So being that his ceiling is as high as I think it might be, I would probably just let him run it out because I got a feeling he's gonna stay to his last year.
Are you saying you're gonna let Arch Manning run it out
I mean, yeah.
for the rest of the season?
Only reason I wouldn't do it. Only reason I wouldn't do it is if there's only one reason yours may keep the job. If
He's a senior and he can go to the draft. Why you won't keep him in?
I don't give a damn about that.
Oh, come on, Calvin.
Hold on,
The man's senior.
hold on.
The man is
No,
balling.
let me
He can be a legit Heisman candidate. You're not gonna let him play.
Let me tell you something. My job is to keep my job as a head coach. My job is not to make sure you
And
get
you can
promoted.
keep your job with. So you're telling me.
Let me finish my statement. You want me to finish my statement? You want me to finish my statement?
Go ahead.
If we're in the national championship running, I just keep running it like it is and let you finish the season out. Right?
Okay, question.
But if we drop one or two games,
are we keeping that as in Ewer stays out and Arch Manning is winning y'all games?
No, I'm saying if we keep the run going, I will give you the opportunity because I mean, if we're going, what I'm saying is, if we drop one or two games, yours out. I might as well go play for my future because it's national championship or bust.
Okay, so you saying when yours come back, if he drops 2 games, now you're considering putting Archie Manning in?
Yeah, might as well.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I'm playing for my future. I'm not. I mean, you're the problem with some of the problem with these coaches right now is the fact that they're trying to play these kids and sell them on the NFL when they need to sell them on being good college players first and being part of a good college program. You know what I'm saying?
I agree to some point.
Because at the end of the day, they will find you. It's been proven. Terrell Davis, Tom Brady, right?
I'll tell you another one, Corey.
Khalil Mack. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I'm saying those are good examples, but what about Bethea, who is now in the NFL Hall of Fame? He's eligible right here. And look, Bethea, think about
Ray
that.
Allen. They'll find you eventually. So that's not gonna be the problem. The thing about it is if the thing about it is the coaches should be selling their program and selling the style of play, right? Agree or disagree, Kobe?
Agree.
Not whether or not you're going to the league if you play for me. You follow me?
Okay.
That's why they be in and out so much.
I'm following you. But at the same time, if I have a starting quarterback that got me to the Final Four last year, I'm undefeated this year. Are we looking at who's better? Or are we looking at the name status? We can all agree who's better.
Listen to me very closely.
This is another question for you. The 2 games that he dropped, who did he drop them to?
Understand this, Kobe. Let's run it like this. If I'm a head coach and I have a senior, right? And I got a freshman that's gonna be my quarterback for the next 3+ years, right?
Let the senior run it out. He's gone.
Hold on. And we're at the point where there's no advancement. This season's pretty much a wash, right?
Okay, if there's no point, okay, I can see that.
That's my whole point.
But now you're speaking a high if hypothetical. You think Texas is not making the playoffs?
Do I think Texas dropped 2 more games? That's the question. Right now, Texas is playing the best.
Drop 2
right now.
It's a 12-team playoff. They can drop 2 and make it.
And that's
Oh,
well, that is the beauty of having 12 teams now. I mean, for those who think that's beautiful.
I ain't asked for 12 teams. Yeah.
Right.
Anyway, we're gonna keep it moving. But
they could drop the 2 and make the national championship. I'm not make
well, it depends on what 2 they drop, Kobe.
Say it again.
It depends on what two they drop.
Okay, I give me just a second. They could drop they could drop Georgia. They can drop. All right. Realistically, the only team they dropped Georgia. Realistically, upset may come maybe from Oklahoma, but realistically, they only dropped Georgia.
Right now, they're
There
the
you have
best
it.
ball in the country.
Yeah. Well, I think the problem they play gonna be the Riot Ewers. There's no because they started off the season with them anyway, and then they know they got Manning in the wings. So as soon as if he falters, if there's some sort of air quote injury, and they want to be air quote cautious, then they can throw Manning in there with no problem now. But once Manning gets in there and holds it down at that point, there's probably no going back. But
Exactly.
but yeah, but I think that they're going to ride Ewers first. I mean, there's no reason not to. And this team is loaded, so is like they're in a great situation right now. They're probably in a
Because
situation a lot of teams want to be in.
Calvin, you also got to think. You talking about the Texas dropped 2 games? Does Georgia drop 2 games? They got to play Bama. They got to play Tennessee. They got to play Ole Miss. They got to play Texas.
Shit, that's a Georgia problem. I don't think they should go. They drop 2 games.
But see, that's the thing. We're talking about Texas dropped 2 games. We also got to look at other teams. Does Bama drop 2 games? Does Georgia drop 2 games? Does Ole Miss drop 2 games? All teams that's currently in front of them or that can mess up their future, that they drop 2 games, they drop 2 games, Texas still has a chance. And Texas realistically only drops 1 compared to other teams that can drop maybe 3.
If
Well, we gonna
that
find out,
happens,
Jim.
if that happened, and number 17 Notre Dame end up in the top 10 again, I'm boycotting Bama, Texas, and Georgia. So
Yeah,
I'm
then
just
you
telling y'all that
boycott.
now. Yes. 'Cause y'all do realize
Hey,
that
It's a
Notre Dame's
game
number
for them.
seven
I'm
is at
boycotting
17 right now.
too.
yeah, they are. They're still lurking there. And but look, speaking of dropping games, man, Kent State, man, it's been a tough 2 games for them. Uh, 71-0 and 56-0. So just be thankful uh for Kent State, being good citizens here. And hopefully they can bounce back in their conference and get some W's here. They definitely stepped out there and played some credible opponents here, as you can see. But man, that's got to be tough right there. All right. Speaking of teams, underdogs, and things like that, let's look at this one here, man. James Madison. We can't let this one slide and not talk about it. James Madison goes in to Chapel Hill. They defeat the Tar Heels, 70-50, gentlemen. Not
They
not
pay
a
500. They pay $500,000 to lose to get 70 on scored on you.
yeah.
Hey,
So I
that's
mean,
what I was gonna say. There's no recap for this game. Just say the number, the price you paid. That's all you got right there, buddy.
You
man, they
paid
got paid
$500,000 to get a basketball score put on you.
70-50, gentlemen. This is an ACC team, and James Madison was just in the FCS a couple seasons ago, but they've been trending. Like they've been having they that's a program that has been on the rise, and this was one of those matchups where you get a Power Four conference opponent, and I think they have issues at quarterback in North Carolina. But not in this game necessarily. But they didn't have the initial quarterback this season. But man, the defense to give up 70 points against any team is bad enough. But man, to give up a team that just came up from FCS and you get
Who are these
you get
teams?
you get lapped, man.
Who are these teams? Accounting manager. I want to have a conversation with them and what goes in. I'm like, you pay a team this much? Like, yeah, I want to talk to some of these team accountants. Somebody accounting
Well,
getting fired.
the thing of it is that James Madison has a buzz because when they went to Division One, they have had really good seasons. but nobody really expect them to compete against the bigger teams. And so North Carolina fell into the mindset of, yeah, it sounds good, but we know we should be able to handle this. And no,
Yeah,
they bought the wrong one in there. They thought
they brought
they thought they had Glass Joe and Mike Tyson showed up.
yeah, and that is like North Dakota State. You know what I'm saying? You bring in of a team. North Dakota State FCS, right? Currently FCS. It's still Division One, but it's just the like the old school one double A version of it. But it's still Division One, but just less scholarships per team. I think there's like 60 something scholarships versus like a team like Carolina who can carry like 85 scholarships and different things like that. So you would think attrition would at least pile up no matter who the opponent is. And but in this case, Carolina, man, they got a lot of questions that need to be answered. They looked a little shaky to me against Charlotte when they played them a week or so ago as well. And so this is one that I really actually predicted that Madison could win straight up. And who in the world would have thought it'd been 70-50 though? But man, can't let that one slide there. What do you think they're gonna do, Coy? What do you think they're gonna do with Carolina and their coaching staff after this one?
He ain't going nowhere. They'll let him die before they let him go.
And that's Mac Brown, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, he
I
used to
mean,
coach at Texas.
they're not. I mean, unless I don't really. Carolina kind of has the money, but I don't see. There's gonna have to be a really, really hot candidate for them to pull the trigger on him, because there's nothing about Carolina yet that says we're supposed to be top five. You know what I'm saying? Top 10.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Because I mean, as long as this one's gonna be a setback. But as long as you dabble into the top 10 every once in a while, and you beat one of the top teams every year in your conference, you can make a nice little deal. But honestly, considering where Carolina is, it's a shame that that program doesn't make more fire in the national on the national scene more so, because you can think about it. You got you got the access to Virginia, so you got
Yep.
Newport News and all those places in Virginia where you get the athletes, and you get into South Carolina and into Georgia. So it's a shame, and then actually the talent from North Carolina. It's just a shame that they don't do better in football, but it's a basketball school, so
Yeah, and I think that's ultimately what it is too. Their emphasis is more on basketball than the football. But they do have the money to do it, the funding and all that stuff. But hey, man, it is what it is. Um, man, that's 70. All right, speaking of another surprise, guys, before we get to the Colorado game, Northern Illinois. You go and defeat Notre Dame on the road, and then you're back home. And this is what can happen. You know what I mean? You exhale a little bit, uh, or your opponent is no longer like Notre Dame, if you will, on the surface, and then you lose at home to Buffalo in overtime. So man, from the high to the low, Northern Illinois, uh,
Te-
man.
Teams like that. I'm sorry, Mr. Ryan. Let me cut you off.
No, go ahead.
Teams like that. Do we like expect them to keep riding that high? Like I know they beat a major team, and I don't. I'm really one of the ones that don't like saying fruit games or got lucky, because at the end of the day, you did beat that team. But it's certain team is just like, do you really expect them to keep riding that high?
I mean, it's a good point. I mean, they are who they are. You know what I'm saying? And
Like
so
everyone gets their year. Like
even
perfect example. Who Georgia faced? Was it Kansas State in the national championship?
wait a minute, who now? Who the face? Who now?
Who did Georgia face in the national championship 2 years ago?
Oh,
oh, you
TCU.
mean TCU?
TCU. I don't know
Yeah,
why I said Kansas State.
till they beat
TCU.
them.
Then yeah, that's why I said Kansas. They beat them. That's right.
Yeah.
TCU. TCU. Then last year we had Washington. Are we talking about any of these teams now? We have upsets like this, Northern Illinois. Next week, we'll be talking about them. If you didn't say anything about Northern Illinois being Buffalo, losing to Buffalo right now, I would have forgot all about that game. I didn't even know they played yesterday.
Are you really shortchanging Washington like that, Cole?
Yes, I am.
I mean,
Hey, Calvin, I learned from you. I got no shame in my game. I am.
Well, I tell you, I think, well, I think it's more so.
It's
I
something
think it's more so like,
like
yeah, but it's more so like, like, let's just put it this way. It's kind of like we'll use some teams around here. So let's say Georgia State beats, they go on the road and they beat Miami Hurricanes. You know what I'm saying? They go there and beat them in Miami. With or without that victory, the conference that they're in, there's a couple opponents in there that's pretty much on their level, and they can lose to them. You know what I'm saying? So it's just one of those
yeah,
situations where they came out and played a great game, and beat a quote unquote bigger opponent. But it still doesn't change that the other opponents that they play throughout the season, they're similar teams. So,
I
but
love
in
that
this
example.
case,
I love that
yeah,
example. Cause they beat
and that's what it is.
Vanderbilt and can come back next week and lose to Georgia Southern. I love that example.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. But man, but for that program, like to do it the very next week, it's tough, man. But Buffalo's been a tough program too. So,
I was about to say
good
Buffalo's
comparable
not a
opponent,
slouch.
right?
Buffalo's not a slouch.
And there it is. So yeah, but yeah, the coach even warned his team. He was like, "Hey, let's not get too high about this," in all the interviews and everything. So, but I think they're in the right direction. That's a signature victory against Notre Dame. So I think they can definitely use that as far as their recruiting and things like that. So Northern Illinois, we'll keep an eye on them throughout the season. They should be fine moving forward. Uh, Guys, Colorado. All right, if you stayed up and watched this game, it was all but over. It was a roller coaster of a ride in this game. And they did pull it off in overtime. And there was a big tackle at the end where Baylor was going to go in and tie the game up in overtime, but Travis Hunter forced a fumble there. And then, of course, leading up into the overtime, right before it, there was a Hail Mary for a late touchdown as time expired. Um, First of all, who want to go first
Open
on this one?
twice.
Yes, yes. So who wants to go first on this one?
Calvin, take it away. I'm gonna be a minute.
All right,
Baylor
Corey.
deserved to lose. First of all, two shots at Hail Mary, and they were open. The first one you didn't get because the receiver dropped the ball, and the second one they managed to be wide open. Come on
Yeah,
now.
that is kind of crazy.
I mean, the second one, the receiver came back for the ball, and the defender was on the ground. First
Yeah,
of all, why is the deepest person on the field a offensive player on a hail on the last play Hail Mary?
good
And
point.
two, why are you laying on the ground? It's not that hard.
Even even
Just stay
better
on your
point.
ground and jump.
Even better
And then
point.
Travis made a play, which is kind of something that we're gonna have to get used to saying. He made a play. He just does that. So
Now,
Colorado deserved to win the game.
yeah, and before we go to Cole, transition over to Cole. Again, I mean, it's a good victory, and it's good for the school, good for the program. Anything that happens at this point, Colorado's going to be, it's going to be hype and heightened. But let's all not forget that neither one of these teams, are ranked or anything like that. So it's kind of the battle of the rankless, and both teams showed you why they are who they are right now. So it's just a matter of which team made the least number of mistakes that ended up winning this game. But Cole, I'm gonna pass it over to you now.
Travis Hunter keep proving me right as he's going to climb up the Heisman candidate list. I just want to go ahead and say that and get out of the way. Colorado overall, they keep proving everybody right. They're just not an elite team. I seen somebody this past weekend. They were doing a tier list. They put Colorado in terrible, and I was like, Colorado's not a terrible team. They're not a good team because they have a major weakness, but they're not a terrible team. After watching this game, I could see why some people put Colorado in a terrible tier list because outside
Yeah.
their skill position, Travis Hunter, Shador, and some of the other skills, they kind of is a terrible team. And like a team like Baylor, I agree with Calvin. You deserve to lose because how you let
Yeah.
two Hail Mary? It's a difference if a Hail Mary get tipped with a little bit of luck and a little bit of hope and prayer. That's one thing. It's a difference if you let you had a breakdown in coverage and the first time they get it. All right, that's on you. Twice back, kind of to the same thing. You
Yeah.
lose to a Hail Mary. You deserve to lose. You do. And another thing is, in a situation that Hail Mary type scheme play like that, as a safety, your number one rule is don't let the receiver get behind you. If you're the DC, you're telling your defense, we're going cloud 3, cloud 5. Everybody's at the D line, you're 50 yards back. You can't let
That's
nothing like that happen. So you deserve to lose.
Yeah, I mean, hey, y'all spot on about it. I mean, the realistic part of this, I mean, if you're just a fan of just whatever, fan of the players, fan of the team, whatever, you're gonna look at this a certain way. But if you look at this from a football perspective, like this was bad football, and it was bad football on both ends, on both teams. From what I saw, uh, neither team will go far playing the way they're playing. But was it
Yeah,
exciting? Yeah, it was exciting.
yeah. If Colorado didn't have name stats, we would not be talking about this game.
All right. Anything else, Corey, before we move on from there?
I don't have anything.
Okay. All right. All right. Let's get into a little bit of FCS before we slide over to the Georgia Alabama preview, and then we out of here. All right. Mercer Bears, another victory. They defeat the Citadel. So another win for Mercer. And here's something, gentlemen. Oh, and Corey, before we do that, Cole, you want to give a shout out to some of the players you know on Mercer?
Uh, Isaac Prince and Isaac Dallin. That's my guys.
All right, big shout out to those guys. All right, and then we're gonna go up near where you live, Cole. Up there, in Clark, Atlanta. Now this game was played in Daytona at Bethune Cookman. And Cookman is in the SWAC conference, and it was an upset. They lost to Division Two, Clark Atlanta. Now this is a team that we all need to start paying attention to. Clark Atlanta. And I have a gentleman coming on this week that's going to go into some great detail about Clark Atlanta University. But this school actually had more enrollment, more applications this school year than the University of Georgia. So something is going on over at Clark Atlanta. But also there's something going on with their
you don't
football team.
you don't want to know what's going on over there at Clark Atlanta.
Hey, but hey, I like that little laugh there, Cole. It's something I need to find out for you off the air. But hey, but yeah, their football team is making big strides, and they deserve some praise here because they beat a Division One football team here. Bethune Cookman, they're in the FCS, but they're Division One, and it was a major upset. I mean, it was a 55-yard field goal at the end for the victory. Arthur Blank has gifted them money for their red football field, brand new field. There's other brand new fields at other Division Two schools like such as Albany State. They got a blue field that was installed for this season as well. But Clark Atlanta, their coach, the new coach that came in is from Allen, and Allen was a power just as recent as last year, and a lot of players transferred in, and they're now playing at Clark. So keep an eye on that at that Division Two level. Keep an eye on Clark Atlanta this season. I just want to make sure they get a big shout out. All right, gentlemen, we're gonna get ready to gear this thing up. So
Yeah.
Alabama and Georgia. Go ahead,
Real
Cole.
quick, before we get into Alabama and Georgia, can we get into Nebraska and Illinois?
Sure. Okay, let's do that. You must be reading my mind, man, because there you go. Nebraska, Illinois. Nebraska, what? They fell on this one. They lost at home 24 to 31. And so let's get into it, Cole.
And that's exactly why I want to get into it. this actually was a great game. Watching that game, Nebraska versus Illinois, and it's two good teams, two top 25 teams. Number 22 Nebraska, number 24 Illinois. It went down to the wire. I really want to get on this because I don't know about everybody else, but for me, I'm very high on Jalen Raiola. When we was talking about our Heisman candidate, I wanted to
Yeah.
put Raiola on my watch list. I think I want to put Raiola in my category of potential Heisman candidates now. 297, 3 touchdowns, 24-35, 1 interception. Yes, he didn't come away with the win, but also when you start having a conversation about the wins and who you lost to, and when other Heisman candidates start losing, he lost to the number 24 team. He lost in overtime, and he lost to a ranked opponent, and he played a great game. That loss is really not on him. He only turned the ball over once, and he produced half of his team, not even half. He produced his team touchdowns other than 3 points. So I think Raiola is going to be very high, and as he keeps progressing, and I know it's irritating comparing him to Patrick Mahomes, the way he warms up, the swagger and this, but I'm very big on Patrick Mahomes. I don't want to compare nobody to him, but he did have some Patrick Mahomes throws and the little sidearm throw, and it was the little on the run sidearm, and it was complete in two. So I can't take that away from a quarterback that's doing it, and he's doing it proficient as Raiola is. So shout out to Raiola, and I think this Nebraska loss won't be as big as that the season progresses. It will play a part because it's a loss. But overall, was a great game, and Illinois did come to play. Bryant, the receiver Bryant, 5 touchdowns for yards, 2 touchdowns. He put on show for Illinois, and he produced a great win. Their quarterback, I'm not even going to try to pronounce their name. Altmaier, the best I'm going to give you. 21, 27, 215, 4 touchdowns. He did what he was supposed to do for Illinois. So overall, was a great game.
Hey, no interceptions too. You know what
No
I'm saying?
interception.
Yeah, so that's very good. And yeah, great breakdown of that game. This was an interesting game. I believe it was the Friday night game too.
Yes, it
So that
was.
was a way. So a lot of people may have overlooked it because of high school football and things like that. But that was a big victory for Illinois. You know what I'm saying? That's a credible win for Illinois as well. Um, as they march along too. And going back to Raiola, right? I don't have a problem with the comparisons. I don't. Um, I don't have one at all. And if you think about it, Patrick Mahomes in college, when we talking Heisman, when we talking this and that about him and all that, we're talking more about Mahomes at the NFL level. But even with that, he sat a year in the NFL. He basically sat a season, and then he's in the right system too. He's with the right coach, the right staff, so everything kind of uh, worked out well for him. And the same thing can happen for Raiola. So, the template is already laid. So a future team that drafts him or invest in him in some kind of way, all you gotta do is kind of follow the blueprint of the Chiefs, and you may have something there. And by the way, Kobe Bryant, right? A lot of people say he copied Michael Jordan. So I mean, that's what great people do. You know what I'm saying? If you don't try to reinvent the wheel. All right, so there we go. All right, Corey, you ready? You ready for Alabama Georgia talk?
Sure.
Okay. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, Coy and Cole, correct me if I'm wrong, but both of you are Alabama Crimson Tide fans.
Yes.
All right. Now that doesn't mean that that's gonna sway them one way or another. But we just want to have it on record. 'Cause I know some people know these guys, and they may say, "Oh, yeah, just because they're Alabama fans, they're gonna go whatever way." I know these guys. They generally tell it like it is. And so, those are kind of people I like to roll with that tell it like it is. And so we're going to do that right now. Let's get into the Alabama Georgia matchup. Doesn't matter to me who wants the coin to go first.
I say tails, Calvin.
Heads. I win.
All right, go ahead.
Um, can Georgia actually have some extend the field on offense? Meaning, can they get some tight end play? Can they get the ball down the field? Or can they run the ball? That's basically what we got to figure out. Can Georgia actually garner up some offense to move to push Alabama in a position where you got to let Melrose beat you? Meaning, but if Georgia does not produce offense and he's allowed to just play with no pressure, run the ball, make a couple plays here, he's gonna be there. This Alabama, but if Georgia gets them into a shootout, I pick Georgia.
All right.
This the
All right,
game.
Cole.
This the game that finally proves if Georgia should be a number one team. Are they number one team? We know the records: 5-1, 1-5 against Alabama. Alabama playing good. The biggest thing that's gonna come here: can Georgia defense hold up with Alabama offense? Can Alabama offense hold up with Georgia defense? It's gonna be a great defense side of the game. The biggest players I'm looking at right here: Miro. I've seen you do it before. Can you beat a team? Can you beat a talented team like Georgia Bulldogs? The Georgia Bulldogs, can you hold up our offense like Miro running capabilities? He has a deep ball now. His throwing has been a slight bit better. Can you hold the talented offense than these running backs? What can you do? What's play caller? You don't have Nick Saban no more. Now you're going against a Kalen DeBoer Alabama offense and defense as the head coach. Can you beat a Kalen DeBoer Alabama? Now, if you can't beat a Kalen DeBoer, now we're gonna start looking at Georgia. Y'all just can't beat Alabama. So my biggest takeaway is from this game. Now, shout out to Michael Williams, a Columbus, Georgia boy, raised and born. My biggest thing is, can Georgia prove me wrong and finally show the number one team? Because I was the person coming here saying I like Alabama over them, I like Texas over Georgia, I like Ohio State over Georgia. This is Georgia time to prove that they're the number one team. But I do think Alabama will take the victory.
All right. In this matchup. Oh, what you said there, Corey?
That was me. That was Kobe. I just said it's gonna be a great game.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And right now the spread is 2.5. Over under 51.5. 7:30 ABC. Man, this is gonna be bananas here. This is the one they both scheduled themselves where they can have that bye week, so they can go in as healthy as possible. And so we will definitely see that. Here's some tail of the tape comparisons. Do you agree with this tail of the tape that you see here on the screen? Do you think the quarterbacking is even?
Slight advantage to Alabama.
Is that because? Oh, go ahead.
I actually disagree with this.
So who you have the edge with the quarterbacking then, Cole?
Well, okay, I was talking about the list as in comparison. Quarterback, I think quarterback. If we're talking about a typical quarterback, I actually would give it to Georgia. I'll give it to Carson Beck, but I think Carson Beck throws better than Milroe, and I think Milroe is a way better runner than Carson Beck. I think that's the only reason why you would call it even. So I can see, I can agree with the quarterback from that standpoint alone. Each quarterback skill set outweighs the other quarterback weaker skill set, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. I do, but I do think the legs of Milrow can, that can pose a problem or and actually could be a solution if there's some trouble there, like and all else fail, he can break off a run. You know what I mean? So, I think that helps as well. What about the running back? Do you think
Bama.
the backfield is out now?
Bama.
Wow.
Bama,
And even though Georgia recruits running backs year in and year out,
Bama
I
seem to be
think
having
I
better.
think I think it's Bama.
Yeah.
all right, receiver position.
I give it to Georgia because they're deeper.
Yeah.
All right, so now let's get into the trenches here on this the O line and D line.
O line Bama, D line Georgia. I don't think it's even. I'm on record on here saying I think Georgia has the best D line in the country.
Uh-huh.
All
So I
right,
don't
so
think it's
that's
even
gonna be
at
a
all.
matchup. So that's gonna be
And the
intriguing then,
second,
Joe.
I would actually say the second best defensive line is in South Carolina. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, know what I'm saying. I don't think Alabama D line is even to Georgia D-line at whatsoever. And this is coming from a Bama fan, Bama supporter. I don't think their D line is even whatsoever. I think Georgia has the best D line in the country. So yeah, I don't agree with
Oh, I
even at
think the
all.
second best in the conference would be either Tennessee or South Carolina. I had to really sit down. I just thought about them boys. That D
Yeah,
line for Tennessee
yeah.
is coming.
Them Tennessee trenches get deep down there. Yeah, agreed.
Matter of fact, they might
Yeah.
be the best D line in the conference. We'll just have to see. But anyway, go ahead.
Wow,
We'll see
that's
when they play
big.
Georgia.
Okay. Okay. So we definitely gonna key in on this O line versus D line. Yeah.
Tennessee defensive line is they some animals.
Yeah.
They're some grave diggers. But anyway,
Okay, gentlemen. What about the linebacking? Corey, you being the former linebacker.
actually, it'll be a slight edge to Georgia.
Yeah, I think you're not wrong going even, but I think if you had to pick one, I think you can give it to Georgia.
And then you go to the DBs. Georgia's better up the middle, but it's probably even on the on the edges.
I actually say if we're talking about overall DB, I actually say it's Bama.
I'm thinking Georgia safeties make a big difference, and then Alabama's better on the edges. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I'm saying
Corners.
I'm not disagreeing. I'm not disagreeing whatsoever. I think we go even.
Yeah.
I think overall, I would just pick Alabama DBs. I think Malachi Stark is a big help to that DB core. But I think overall with our DBs, I think we're just overall better. From why is his name going blank to me? No, number 13, Malachi Moore. Him, our corners, our other 50. I just think DB wise, we have Georgia beat.
Wow. Okay. All right. It's lining up to be a great one. I'm definitely going to key in on that Alabama O line versus the defense, Georgia D line. That's what I'll be paying attention to next week. But man, let's get the prediction then, gentlemen. Who you got?
28-24 Georgia.
24-21 Bama.
All right. So we got a Georgia victory and an Alabama victory, but either way, we have a close game, and so that's what we want. And here's my question here. So let's say Georgia wins, and as Corey predicts, Georgia wins, so they move to number one.
Bama dropped 2 spots, 3 at most.
Okay.
Well,
Does Georgia leapfrog
if it's
an
within a
undefeated Texas?
touchdown or less, they drop 2 spaces.
And
Yeah,
Georgia
if
goes
it's
to 1. Yeah, Georgia
if it's
automatically
more than
goes to 1. I feel like whoever wins this game either goes to 1 or goes to 2. Bama is gonna take 2 or they're gonna take 1.
who Texas have
All
next
right.
week?
You said what?
Who Texas have next week?
I think some
You can
nobodies.
see.
They have what's next week? The
Week
28th.
5.
The 20. They have a bye week.
Then the next week they got Oklahoma. And then how it went.
Oh no,
Look, they got
sorry.
Bama.
Oh, sorry. I'm
Oh,
looking at the wrong schedule. I'm looking at the
they
wrong
got
schedule.
Oklahoma. They got Oklahoma on the 12th. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm getting way ahead of myself.
I'm
Mississippi
sorry.
State.
28, they have Mississippi State.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Mississippi
That's
State.
not a nobody's. I mean, that's
Yeah,
actually
so
a decent
there's
team.
no movement. Texas doesn't have no movement. There. Only thing they can do is
So,
lose some ground.
I think Alabama either goes to 1, depending on rank of difficulty, and Texas drop to 2, or Bama goes to 2, Texas stays 1, Georgia goes. I say Georgia goes to about 4.
I say Ohio State would have to move up.
man,
Where?
but they haven't played anyone, have they?
No,
They
they
gonna
haven't
move, they
played
gonna move up.
anyone.
Where they gonna move up to,
But
Calvin?
I mean, okay, if Alabama beats Georgia, Ohio State moves to 2, Alabama moves to 3, Georgia moves to 5 or 6.
Wait,
Because
say, wait, say that again. I didn't hear you.
Alabama beats Georgia,
Mm-hmm.
Ohio State moves to 2, right?
Bama gonna move what 3?
3,
No, I disagree.
and then Georgia moves to 5 or 6. And the reason I
This,
said that is because Ohio State's actually has been getting first place votes anyway. So
Right.
unless Alabama curb stomps Georgia,
I don't care. They
it's
curse
gonna be
stuff.
hard to jump. It's gonna be hard for them to jump Ohio State just outright.
So say your final prediction, Calvin. Say your final prediction.
Georgia went, or you mean what? As far as what?
If Bama wins, what's your final prediction? We kind of already got the grasp of what's going to happen if Georgia
Okay.
wins. That's the easy part. But if Bama wins, what's your
Texas
prediction?
stays one. Ohio stays two. Ohio State stays two. Bama stays a close third. Uh, God damn, that means Ole Miss will be four because I see Georgia dropping back to 6 or 7.
Yeah, you
Wow.
I
said
see.
5 or 6.
Yeah, 5. What I just thought about because it'll be because you got Tennessee and Ole Miss. That'll take up 4 and
So
5.
And
because
then
And
Tennessee's
that's
like,
another
yeah,
question:
Tennessee's
Are we
6 right
putting
now.
a one-loss team in front of all the undefeated teams?
that's what I'm trying to think. That's why I said. That's why I said they might go back. Who else is undefeated? And then
I think
Well, you got like
hold
you
on.
got the
If the undefeated
Tennessee,
top
Kobe, if
you
seven.
that
got
undefeated
Tennessee and Ole
team,
Miss.
if that undefeated team is Missouri, yes.
And Missouri's right. I think there's 7 right now. So uh yeah, there's 7. And Tennessee is 6. Ole Miss 5.
The
So we're
only other
saying
undefeateds
Georgia,
are Oregon, the ones that matter. Oregon
right?
So
and who else?
is so Alabama is Ole Miss, Tennessee, Missouri,
Mm-hmm.
Miami, Oregon,
That's one I was
Penn
missing.
State. And
and Penn
Oregon's like
State.
9, Penn State
That's
10.
that's top 10, fellas. Top 10.
So we have to find placement for Miami. If Georgia lose, are we saying that they should jump Miami?
Should Miami jump Georgia?
No. Because when you lose, I look at it like when you lose, you go to the back of the line, and then we start placing you from the back of the line forward. So, do you think they
But
jump Miami?
I don't think that line start. Yeah, they jump Miami.
All
I
right,
don't
then.
see
So,
Miami
okay,
hasn't
then
proven anything to me yet, other than
Penn State,
they brought in
Penn
a
State,
good
I think.
quarterback.
Penn
Okay,
State.
Calvin, hear me out. Calvin. I think Texas stays 1.
Hmm.
I think Bama goes to 2. Ohio
Okay.
State still make the 3.
All right.
I think Georgia actually goes to. Ooh, I think perfect.
I
This plays
think
out perfect. This plays out perfect. Texas stays at 1. Bama goes to 2. I think Ohio State stays at 3. I think Georgia will drop
4.
down to. I think Georgia would drop down to. I'll say 6. And I
Who's your
think
4 or 5?
everybody there after that stays
Are
stalemate.
you saying Ole Miss and Tennessee are 4 or 5?
Yes. And the reason I say that is Ole Miss and Tennessee, Ole Miss especially, has to play Kentucky. If Ole Miss dog white Kentucky, they're automatically gonna be in front of Georgia. Tennessee got to play Arkansas, SEC competition. That's what's gonna help them this week. That's why I have them in front of Georgia.
No, it helps Tennessee if Georgia loses. They beat Oklahoma this week. Let's be honest.
But okay, yeah, but no, Tennessee got Arkansas.
And I think Georgia plays. Don't Georgia and Ole Miss play this year?
We can
Yeah, they
check.
do. They do.
Yeah. So that's all that's gonna sort itself
But that's
out.
late, that's late,
So
that's
so
late
that's
October. I want to say.
so
I'm talking
basically
about
what we're
right
saying
now.
is if Georgia loses to Alabama, we're saying Miami, Penn State, what's the other one? Other guys.
Miami, Penn
Missouri
State, Missouri, and Oregon.
and Oregon. Those 4 teams, Georgia will jump all 4 of those, which will
Yeah.
make them say, yeah, okay. I can live with that. I
Well,
might be a little
okay.
bit. It might be a little bit iffy with Oregon, but I can live with that.
I
But
say
Oregon's under
I
Miami
s-
though.
yeah.
Yeah, but that's just
Um.
a matter of time. Unless Oregon, Washington's not there for Oregon to imp a game, so Oregon can win out. USC, only dark spot on their schedule is USC, basically. You know what I'm saying?
mm.
Mr. 401, you got some?
Yeah, I think that. Well, and we're talking about the scenario if Georgia loses, right? So Texas wouldn't move. Uh, Alabama would move to 2, in my opinion, because again, Ohio State, who would be ahead of them right now, but until they play somebody, I can see them legitimately moving Alabama ahead of them. And then Ole Miss is already ahead of Tennessee, So Georgia would either have to fall in that 4 slot because they lost to a top 4 team, and Ole Miss, Tennessee haven't played anybody yet. But then at the same time, Tennessee just beat Oklahoma, who's ranked 15th. So in other words, either they're gonna fall to 4 or they're gonna fall right behind Tennessee.
So let me ask this, Mr.
So
One. Does what team I just said? Ole Miss. Does Ole Miss
mhm.
playing Kentucky? Does that have any effect on the rankings since Georgia played Kentucky and beat them by a point? So if Ole Miss go out there and handle business, does that have any effect?
I mean, a common opponent, yeah, that would have an effect. But I also think that Georgia playing Alabama before Ole Miss has played, someone of that caliber is going to come into play too. But I think it all can work itself out. So they're either going to fall 4 to me or they're going to fall behind Tennessee. That's why I got it.
That sounds good,
But
man.
definitely ahead of Missouri and Miami. So that's why I got it. I got them falling more than likely right behind Tennessee if we're gonna be realistic about it. And then with it being 12 teams, in a way, it doesn't really matter because they're all in there now. So that's what I got. All right. Any closing remarks, gentlemen?
No, sir.
All right, Corey, you good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, so that's what we're gonna do. It's gonna be a big matchup next week. So obviously we'll come in and we'll talk about the aftermath and see who was right, who was wrong on that, and what's next for those teams. So for Corey, for Cole, from Cole from the Low, I'm Mr. 41. We thank everybody, and we'll catch you all next week with more triple option.
Peace.
Peace.